want to do that?
Yep, we'll just do the picture first.
Where am I looking anyway?
Just over back, please. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Right. Hiya.
How do you feel about playing Arsenal in your first game in charge?
Fine side. You know, they've become a very good side. Obviously, people are talking about winning the title, so that stands for itself. I always say it's the oldest woman in the book, but you got to play everyone. So the way the way the fixtures fall is just one of them things. But no, they're having a very good time of it, obviously at the moment. But I mean, you know, I think they've known us long enough. You know, at my previous club, not this one. But I think they'll realise that usually, we'll see, but I usually put out a team that are ready. They're ready for the challenge. So I wouldn't imagine, don't know, but I wouldn't imagine they're underestimating the strength of our challenge.
Sean, good to see you. I take it you got a good welcome from the likes of Michael Keane, James Tarkowski and Dwight McNeil.
Why only them?
Well, I'm just thinking that you obviously know them a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think it's been a really good welcome from all, in fact, staff, players alike. You know, I know a bit about the feel around the club from being here, you know, visiting here, but it's true, you know, the staff, everyone's been very open to us being here. So not just them players, and I think there's been a good reaction so far to what we've tried to do in this early part of our careers here.
So how have the first few days gone? What have you been working on with the players? What have you learned new about your squad?
Well, I think they're open-minded. I think they've been very honest about the challenge, about what it is, what it has been, what it is now, and where we can go. We did a bit of a feedback session on that, so I was happy with their honesty. I think there's a desire to put things right. I think that's relevant and become quite obvious, actually. Excuse me. They know there's an adaptation period for what we want to do. A load of stories made about me doing yo-yo tests. It's all nonsense. It's just a scientific test, that's all. One of many that we do. I know the markers. I know the physical markers in the Premier League. It's one of a few different versions of tests that I've used down the years. I've got all the data for it. So that was just a marker in the sand, which I explained to the players. Someone was implying it was a question about the feeling of other managers that have been in. Nothing at all. I've total respect for all managers, including Frank and his staff. I'm sure they work very hard here. No question that whatsoever. I can only share a view of how I want to do things and not question others.
So what is your assessment of the challenge that you face here?
Well, I don't think that one's rocket science. I think everyone knows the challenge, and that's to get out of the situation. You know, it is what it is. The team are where they are. The league doesn't lie. I'm not obsessed with league tables. I like the one at the end of the season, as long as you're the right part of it. But the current league table doesn't lie. You know, we're there for a reason. It's about how we all correct it. And I think the biggest thing for me is the alignment. You know, going from owner through the chairman, through Kev, through myself, and into the players and into the fans. You know, I think we've got to make sure that's there. But it starts with, obviously, me and the work with the players and my staff to make sure we're aligned, because we're the team behind the team. And then we've got to make the team go out there and perform, quite obviously. And at the end of the day, whichever way you cut and dry, do all the best work in the world or whatever it's deemed, you got to win. You've got to win games. Got to get points on the board.
Obviously, I don't want to overshadow your first news conference here as the Everton
But you're going to?
I'm going to slightly, because obviously we haven't got the people who've been responsible for transfers over this month here with us, and you're the face or the person who's got to front up to that. So what can you tell us about why the club wasn't able to bring in new signings in those last few days of the transfer window while you were here, and what explanation have you been given for not bringing in new faces previously in the month?
Well, firstly, one thing I can assure you, because I've been here at once I was appointed, I managed to get here Saturday, so I can only take what I know from being here. And Saturday, all I've seen is hard work. That's all I've seen so far, particularly in the recruitment area, because obviously we know the window was what it was, and the owner, the chairman, Kev, myself, you know, I've been leaving here late at night, Kev on the phone constantly, the owner, the chairman on the phone constantly. I can assure you I was there. I physically was there, seeing it all. So there's absolutely been hard work. A couple of things about the playing options is, first of all, you've got to align them. I've said many, many years, you know, my Premier League experience is all parties have to say yes. We all know that. You've got to get to that situation. You need the finance in place to make them situations happen. We all know that. But likewise, the thing that often gets overviewed is that they've got to be better than what we've got here. I think we've got some very, very good players here, some very talented players. Now, they may have lost their way. We can all have debates on why things are not where they want to be or what they should be or whatever people deem. But there's some very talented players here, and I've never been one that's signing players for the sake of signing them. There's a rule to every rule, and that would be, you know, if you've got a young player you think can develop into these style of players and this level of quality, of course, that's different. But when you're talking about players just coming in and going straight into, let's say, the team, they better be good players, because I believe there's good players here. Now, of course, our job is to help them, guide them hopefully to better days and polish them down, and, you know, polish them up a bit rather, and, you know, maybe give them a different way of looking at the game, and give them the freedom to go and play amongst the framework to, you know, be strong as a unit. But you get my point. Is you're not just going to sign players for the sake. Well, I'm not. I'm just going to not sign players for the sake of signing them, and then you never see them again. They've got to affect what we're doing, and they've got to be good enough to affect what we're doing. As I don't see the point in it. And we work very, very hard. I can assure you, because I was here, I was watching it, I was involved in it. I'm ringing agents. We're doing all of the diligence, all the crunching of analytics numbers, everything we could do to define the players that can help.
That said, though, obviously Anthony Gordon has left the club, and it was accepted that the club was looking to bring in a couple of further attacking options before he left. So how much of an issue is it, the fact that you've not even been able to get in a replacement for Anthony?
Well, the timing of that was before me, obviously. The sale, I mean. So that was already in progress. You know, trying to react to the situation then is a different ballgame, because you don't know what money's coming in until that deal was done, of course. It's coming in, not literally, by the way. It doesn't come in all in one go. They don't just go, here you go. And then looking at the players that would fit into that market of the money available against the quality of player. Of course, there's lists of players that everyone will have. Most players know the runners and riders. Most teams and most development units, recruitment units, know the runners and riders in football. Like I say, the odd bit of gold, you know, that you find, you know, a young player or a developing player you might find, but generally, we all know the players that we think are going to be the players. But you've got to get ones that you're more or less hedging your bets, they can affect the group. And as I said, I think there's some very good players here. They're maybe not performing at the level they can do at this moment in time, but that's my job, the staff's job and their job to take that on and remind ourselves what a good group of players there are.
It seemed when you took over as well, Sean, that promises were made about recruitment. It seems the way you're talking that you don't feel let down by that.
No, there doesn't seem that there was any promises. Promises, what promises can you make in recruitment? It takes the human beings, it takes everyone to align. Simple as that. He makes many promises about this, that and the other, but at the end of the day, people have got to align with what the deal is. You know, and literally sign a deal or a contract that puts them as part of your football club. I don't speak about other people's players, you know that. You've known me a long time. I don't really do that. So there's fair to say there was loads of phone calls made, offers put in. They didn't get to the place we wanted them to be for whatever reason. That's the way it sometimes goes.
Can you talk about free agents, though? And any chance of something that could happen in the free transfer
Well,
market?
yeah, again, I mean, you know, often being totally disrespectful to football and the system that it is. You know, sometimes, not always, but some of them players are there for a reason, because maybe there's a reason why they're not at clubs. You do get the odd bit of gold, like I said. We're looking at the market. Of course, we're aware of the players out there, but yet again, they've got to be able to affect what we do. So that's the biggest one for me. Now, it's not always about money and have or have not. You know, you've got to bring players in to affect what you do. And I've been a big believer in that for many years, and you definitely know that, because you've spoken to me about it many times.